So Elon recently came out with an idea of Twitter Blue, an $8 subscription for Twitter that turns you into a verified user. And currently this idea was kind of sent back to the drawing board at Twitter HQ. They kind of disabled the service, but the idea is still there, and more importantly, the problems it was trying to solve are all still there. So basically this new $8 verification was supposed to give you maximum priority on your tweets and your replies. Basically, they would always get seen over a user that just had a free account. And the objective with this, according to Elon, was that this was supposed to be the best way that you could combat bots, spam, and trolls. And in general, I like the idea of changing Twitter so that, it won't be stale and you don't have to wait like 2 years for one small little change. I think in general, corporations kind of focus on the wrong things, right? And they take too long just to make simple adjustments that are pretty simple to put in, right? So, but his solution to Twitter Blue and the bots did not make a whole lot of sense to me. The more and more I thought about it, the more you think about it, really, the more I realized that these are kind of two separate problems, right? One of the problems is that Twitter is in a huge amounts of debt and they need a way to make money. And the other problem is, how do we solve bots and spam? And then I'd say the third problem, which is kind of in line with the bots one, but not really, is the verification. How do I know that if Elon Musk tweets, this is actually the real Elon Musk and not someone else that name changed? So that last problem is kind of combined with the bots, but not a bit separate. But just in general, I'd say these are two separate problems, right? So I think you come up with much better solutions if you just attack the problems individually. And I'll talk about the bot solution later, perhaps in another video. But in this video, or at least at the start, I just want to focus on how do we solve the making money problem for Twitter. So this that you're going to see now is my beautiful solution to Twitter's subscription problem. Basically, you want to introduce some features that are very much wanted and asked for on Twitter. And then you're also going to introduce some nice quality of life or nice features. And I'll go over these and read them and then go into detail about one by one. But basically, a lot of these consume more space, right? The first point, for example, GIF banners and profile pictures. Every one of these new ideas, new features is going to consume more bandwidth that Twitter's going to have to deal with. They're going to have to store your information somewhere. So to cover the costs, this is why I think it makes sense to put them under the subscription instead of just having them be free. And then, of course, I think since I'm adding a lot of features, then it also makes sense to do multiple tiers so that people that consume more bandwidth also pay more. Now, I haven't decided which ones go in which tiers. I think that's kind of just up to people to decide, but let's just go over every feature. So the first one is a page right out of Discord's playbook, GIF banners and profile pictures. Basically, if you've used Discord before, a communication messaging app, you'll know that a person's profile has a moving background picture if you have their paid subscription. And also if you hover over their avatar, it'll start to move. So basically, users that pay in Discord and get Discord Nitro gain access to GIFs as their profile pictures or GIFs as their background. Normal users will just have access to regular images. And this, as you can see, it can look very, very cool. I think this is the easiest one to implement because they're just GIFs. They're like 10 frames per second, 5-second animations or something. So quite simple to introduce. Doesn't require any new features. It just requires space or bandwidth. The next one is edit button with history and stats. Now this one's a little bit more complicated because I think the ideal implementation requires a little bit more features. But what I'm picturing is basically if you have Twitter Blue, you gain access to an edit button. And now anytime you tweet, you have about an hour time window to edit the tweet however many times you want. However, every time you edit a tweet, the edited tweet becomes like a brand new tweet and the previous tweet goes under the history of the new tweet. So basically you send tweet number 1 and then you edit it and it becomes tweet number 2. Now that tweet number 1 no longer shows in people's home pages or their timeline or yours. What shows up will just be tweet number 2, the edited tweet. However, when you click on this edited tweet, you'll have a button that allows you to see the history of this tweet before it was edited. And it'll show you, oh, this tweet used to say, and then it says whatever tweet 1 said. And then it says, oh, tweet number 1 had this many likes, this many retweets, and these were the comments. And basically, you'll be able to look back at tweet number 1, but it'll just be like a read-only version of tweet number 1. You won't be able to like tweet number 1, you won't be able to comment tweet number 1, you won't be able to retweet tweet number 1. It'll just be a read-only version. And of course, also, I think you want tweet number 2 to have completely separate stats than tweet number 1. So when you edit tweet number 1 and it becomes tweet number 2, it'll now start at 0 comments, 0 retweets, 0 likes. And then it's just like a brand new tweet basically, except it shows you the history of the tweet. So it shows you what that tweet used to say before and what those comments, and you can click on it to see what those comments were before and what the likes were before, all that stuff. It basically just keeps a historial of the edits that you made. Now, why is there a 1 hour time window and why does it reset? And why is it read only on the initial tweets? I think it basically comes down to, let's say someone tweets I love green and then you like that tweet that says I love green. And then within that hour, that person changes to I love purple. And well, you don't want your like to remain there because you would have never liked the tweet because you actually hate purple, let's say, right? So you want whatever comments and likes were previously on the tweet to accurately represent the tweet. And so that's why I think you need the stats to start from scratch. That way likes don't remain there, quote, retweets, and comments don't remain there. And everything just sort of makes sense. All you're really doing, the way I'm seeing it, is you're adding some sort of history to your tweet. And you're keeping track of what things used to say. I also think you want a 1 hour time window so that people can't permanently, just edit a single tweet a million times, basically. Next up is create voice tweets for all platforms. Now, right now, this is gated to only iPhone users. So anyone that has an iPhone can send out a voice tweet, but Android users cannot, or web application users. So you can't do it from your computer or anywhere else. You need to have specifically an iPhone to voice tweet. Now, I'm pretty sure the reason why they never expanded it to Android or anything else after the initial testing period is because if they did that, a lot more users would be using voice tweets, and they're probably concerned with how the website would change because of that, in terms of how timelines would look, the homepage timelines, people's profiles, and also how much space this would take on their back end. Because obviously, the audio files would take up more space, take up more bandwidth than something like just a text tweet. So because we're putting these under subscriptions here in different tiers, I feel like you can very much fit and cover the bandwidth costs in one of these tiers. Because in terms of technicalities, requirements and stuff like that, there's really nothing that prevents Twitter from allowing all platforms to use voice tweets. Now, I know the first thing people are going to ask is, what about iPhone users? Do they now need to pay for something that they had? I think fair game, they should just keep it free for iPhone users, but then make everyone else pay. I feel like I'd be totally fine with that. Next up is fix video embeds. Now, this one's a very peculiar one because videos that are uploaded to Twitter behave very differently from embeds. So, you scroll down the timeline, you see my mouse, I'm not even clicking on these videos, they just kind of autoplay as you're going through them. But if you look at what a Twitter embed looks like, it looks something like this, where you have, if you tweet out a YouTube link, it'll come out exactly like this. So it'll have this whole like kind of short frame where you see the thumbnail is cut off because it's put in a square ratio, and you kind of have to click on it and then it'll start playing. It doesn't look that good, right? It doesn't look that good. I think what I've seen on other websites, and I think is very good, this is just the genius.com lyrics website. This is the embeds that I see on a lot of other websites that they're using. You see the complete thumbnail, and it takes up, the whole space for the thumbnail. Something about it just looks a lot cleaner and makes you want to click on it. You have some features here that you can see, like you can hover over the channel, it tells you to subscribe, add to watch later, share. You have a few buttons. It's just a lot cleaner to have like this. I have no idea why Twitter currently has this version of the embeds. I really see no reason why. I mean, these embeds right here are also not autoplay, which you can choose whether you want them to autoplay or not. I think not autoplaying is fine because that's the current behavior of embeds. There's just no autoplay. Like I said, uploaded videos have autoplay on them, but yeah, you can. All I'm trying to say here is change this piece of shit to this beauty right here, and make it cover the whole spot. I mean, there's really no reason why it shouldn't cover the whole spot because, like I showed you before, these videos they cover the whole. However wide the frame is, the embeds will cover all of it. So, fix video embeds. Now, the second point is also about embeds, but it's about mobile experience. Basically, if you send out that same tweet, what was it? This tweet right here. If I go on my phone right now and I load this up and I look at it on my phone, it's just going to appear as a YouTube link. So you're just going to see youtube.com/ and then a bunch of letters. I'm not going to be able to see the embed unless I specifically click on the tweet. So I guess if I'm clicked on the tweet like this, it will show the embed. But if I'm just sort of like scrolling down through my timeline, it'll just show as a blue link. And so say you tweet out a YouTube video, people on their timeline are only going to see a blue highlighted text hyperlink to a YouTube link. They're not going to see the embed unless they specifically click on the tweet itself. So all I'm saying here is fix the mobile experience for embedded videos so that they look exactly how they look in desktop. This is another thing where there's no real limitation to it, so I have no idea why they don't already have this. Second last is allow .txt files to be attached. I guess you can use other text file formats as well. I don't know all the formats, but you can use other formats, I'm sure. This is just to prevent people using tweetlongers where they link you to a different website in order to see a long version of a tweet. I mean, Twitter already allows people to attach images and videos, so they can upload different files. There's really no reason why they're not allowing text files to be uploaded. This is actually something Elon, I remember reading that he recommended himself. I feel like this is the easiest ad of the whole thing. Maybe the only concern would be how would these text files show up in how they display. Again, I think this is another spot where they could take a page right out of Discord's book. I just uploaded a text file here, and you have two options here, or actually a couple. You can download the file. You can view the whole file, so you click on it here and the whole text file expands, or you can expand it inline, just see it straight up. So I think Twitter can implement something very similar to this. If you want, you could just have this button right here, which just shows it, takes up your whole space, and it gives you a scrollable view of the text. I think that'd be the best. So anytime a user uploads a text file, it automatically gives that tweet this option right here for anyone that sees the tweet. You can also download the file if you want yourself. So let users attach text files. I think this one's very simple. Shouldn't take a lot of time to implement this. I could probably do it. Not much work to be done to get that feature in place, and it doesn't take any extra bandwidth because you're already letting users upload images and stuff like that. Now the last point is longer videos, which I put a question mark next to because I don't think this is really necessary anymore. I think this is a feature you can just not introduce if you just fixed embed issue. So basically, if your embeds change so that instead of looking like this, they all look like this, then I feel like you will no longer need to add longer videos. Because the only reason why people want longer videos on Twitter is because they don't want to use the shitty embed visual that we have right now. And they want to have a very easy to use video player that's just ready to go. So they decide to upload their videos instead of referencing something like YouTube. But realistically, you would just upload the video to YouTube and then link it and hope that the embed looks amazing, like this one. So I think realistically, you don't need this longer videos point right here. You can just take this out and just fix the embed right here, and that will solve all your problems. Now, the final thing I want to say, which I said at the start, I want to reiterate, is that these should be separated into different tiers. Why? Because I think the initial tier won't be enough to cover all the costs. So you should separate these features basically into different tiers, you know, so the more you pay, the more you unlock basically. And these are all add-ons, so you know, we've gone like 10 years or something with like no features on Twitter. I feel like, you know, we could go 10 more with like nothing added to it unless you're subscribed to Twitter Blue, you know. So I'd say to the people of Twitter, introduce these features and put them behind different tiers of Twitter Blue, and that's how you make your money, that's how you pay your debt, that's how you make it profitable. Of course, you have to divide these, you know, choose which ones go into which tiers. And I don't know, that'll just be up to you and us, the people. I don't know. I was also thinking you could maybe make a system where you could let people choose different features that they want. So let's say there's some like super expensive features, and then there's some cheap features, and then there's like some medium-sized features. These are not in order right now, but let's just say you had them order and how expensive they were in terms of space and bandwidth. So you could say something like, okay, if you have the $8 subscription, you can choose one small feature and two mediums, or one small and one expensive one. And then if you have like the middle one, you can choose like more. And so you have sort of like a selection, like, oh, we divided features into different tiers, and you can sort of select which ones you want as you're subscribing, as you're making the initial subscription. But if not, then you can just separate them into preset packages. Either way, I feel like this is much better than whatever idea they had or have with Twitter Blue. I feel like these features would be very exciting to see on Twitter. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace.